What's up, traders? This is Vee Trades, and today we'll be doing a technical analysis breakdown for strategy with the ticker symbol MSTR. I will first be going over what I see in the daily chart and finish the video off with the weekly chart. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please trade at your own risk. So MSTR, what's been going on? Well, I took a break from analyzing stocks and price charts just because the market's kind of boring right now. It's just been doing what it has been doing. Same thing for MSTR. It just has been doing what it continues to do, right? Continues to do what it has been doing, which is a downtrend. Downtrend started back here, well, technically off the all-time highs, November 21st of last year, but more clearly, July 16th of this year has been trending down, right? There's a lot of lines on the chart, but let's go and hide it real quick and just go over what's been going on so you can hide it. So you see that there's a nice downtrend in play right here. And we just made a new low of the downtrend, but barely. It's struggling to make a new low, which means that we could see a pop-up higher. The earnings report is tomorrow. They could use that earnings report to drive up the price, maybe create some sort of short squeeze. But we need to see price get back above the 320s and then back above the 360s and then back above the 420s. There's a lot of resistance at those levels. So until we can start seeing the first level being cleared, you can't be bullish on this stock right now. It's in a downtrend, right? You can't say the trend has reversed. And in reality, the price is still dropping. People are waiting for lower prices to buy the shares. And that causes, an imbalance between buying and selling pressure, which will lead to lower prices. So as right now, it looks like it's still targeting and tracking towards 236. That's where that lower side of the range is at. It looks like a big range pattern. All this is sideways trading, so it's just a range pattern. We hit the lows, went to the highs, double top off the highs. Now we're going back to the lows. That's where that orange circle represents the lows of the range. So overall, still bearish. You can just adjust that trend line a little bit, and overall we're still down, right? It's still bearish. Below the 320s, 300 level, it was prior support right here. Broke it, found resistance once, twice. So double tested it, right? Confirmed it. So now we got to break above the 300s. That might be the new ceiling, right? Every time we get a new ceiling, 360 was a new ceiling, then 327 was a new ceiling. Now 300 could be a new ceiling. So, unfortunately, MSTR buyers or holders, if you're a buyer, you probably want to wait. And if you're a holder, well, hopefully you have a plan and always have a backup plan, right? I mean, things aren't always going to go exactly how you plan it. That's why, traders use a stop loss. Stop loss is to protect your capital so you don't have to sit down through a 10% or 20% or 30%, 60, 78% drawdown, right? Or, you have other options available. You average in where if you believe it'll continue moving up higher, then you can get it a better price. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You need to list down every possible thing you can do and then choose which one is better for you in the situation, right? You use a stop loss, you average down, you sell at a loss, and hopefully that will give you a tax benefit. You have you do an options, you hedge with a short, there's a lot of things you could do, but you need to know what you can do to make the best decision, right? If you don't have all the tools available to you, then, you're going to be scared and have fear. But if you have all the tools available, then you'll be able to make, the best decision possible, right? Because all the possibilities that you can possibly take. Anyway, it is still looking bearish. I mean, the shining light would be that for the bulls is that it's barely making a new low. So it could be some sort of divergence going on where we could see a pop up higher in the short term. But I mean, let's take a look at Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's looking pretty bad, right? I mean, yes, it's not bad, but it's not. It really hasn't done anything for the past several months now, since basically July. We're not getting to the top side of the range half, right? So if you draw a range pattern, you see this dashed line, separates the half portions, the mid of the range. We just got rejected from the middle of the range, right? We can't go to the top yet, right? It's not breaking out. So that means there's a bearish imbalance going on. It looks like, we could draw a downward sloping trend line. Yes, there's the upper sloping trend line that the bulls are trying to respect and support. So that's why we're caught in between these trend lines. But overall, it's not looking that bullish, right? We could see another breakdown lower, maybe to scare everyone out, and then a potential rally. And if that does happen, well, MSTR is pretty much toast, right? It's probably going to definitely hit that 230, 240 level. So, you don't want to see that breakdown lower in Bitcoin if you're holding MSTR, because it looks like it could drop down substantially lower toward the 230s, 240s. So let's see what happens for Bitcoin. It's, it's obviously just trading sideways. I think it's still bullish long term. I don't think the trend is over yet for the bull cycle. But in the meantime, it's not looking good. Anyway, let's take a look at Bitcoin's price divided by MSTR's price. Finally hit 400. The ratio is 400. And yeah, it takes 400 MSTR shares to buy one Bitcoin. And you can see that it's trending up higher, right? It looks like we're continuing to see outperformance in Bitcoin, even in the down days, right? Even with Bitcoin dropping down, it still continues to outperform MSTR. And it has been doing that since basically November of last year, right? When MSTR topped, Bitcoin started outperforming uh, MSTR. So it looks like this will be continued outperformance until probably 430, maybe find a little bit of resistance, sell off, and then potentially continue up higher as well. So we'll see what happens. But that's all I have for Bitcoin against MSTR. We went over MSTR's chart. We went over Bitcoin's chart. Went over the ratio. Just showing the outperformance and where the money is kind of flowing into. This kind of tells me the money is being flowed into Bitcoin instead of MSTR. Just that's just what the ratio means. And yeah, Bitcoin is waiting for it to do something, right? It's at the same price as in like basically January 20th of this year. This is January 20th candle right here, right there, right? And we're not that much up above it, right? Even if you go to like let's say January 1st, right? January 1st, I think price was right about here. We can we can use the measurement tool. About a 20% gain. I mean, that's kind of bad, right? 20% is not good. It's good for if you hold like a if you hold a spider or Apple, or something like that. But Bitcoin 20%, it can do 20% in 2 days, right? It can do like let's just measure this right here. This was probably about a week from low to here. That was a 30% gain. That was a 30% gain in like 5, 6 trading days. 20% is nothing the entire year. That's not a good sign. Again, but that's the whole personality of this entire bull cycle. So it's nothing to be worried about. But I think once it starts breaking these consolidation patterns, as you see here, once it started breaking these consolidation patterns, like right over here, right over here, and right over here, we do see a nice move up higher. So once it breaks this one, I'm expecting also a nice move up higher as well. So we'll see what happens. Let's see if we get that or not. MSTR, let's take a look at the weekly chart. And pretty much every week has been red, basically for the past 4 weeks, right? 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure this week will close red, unless earnings like something happens in that. But I wouldn't hold your breath on that because every earnings report that was red. This one was green, but it was a bull trend. This one was kind of green. It's kind of 50-50, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but typically what happens is where prices in relation to the earnings report. So, for example, if price is like way in the stratosphere, super overextended, earnings report is most likely going to be dropping down the price, right? They'll use the earnings report as a catalyst to drop down the price. If we're also super, overextended to the downside, they'll use the earnings report to gap up, right? To take away that, that initial drop. That's typically what happens. So in this case, trend is down. We're at the lows of the trend. They could just gap it down towards the 230s, 240s. But, this is not that a strong indicator because we're at the lows of the trend. It could, I think, maybe a 45% move up higher. I think 55%. I think there's a slight tilt in favor towards the downside with the trend, with the least resistance for the downside, with the measurement target in play. You see this one leg down right here, correction. First attempt lower, second attempt lower, still in play towards the 150s for MSTR. So all I have for MSTR, Bitcoin, and let's just say has topped, just for fun. Let's say Bitcoin has topped. Typically, I think it's going to at least correct 50%, right? 50% down takes you to about $62,000 for a Bitcoin, $63,000 for a Bitcoin. I mean, that becomes a lot more affordable to a lot more people, right? So that'd be pretty good if you have cash on the sidelines. I would say, me personally, I'm happy with what I have allocated to Bitcoin. I would never allocate any more, even if it does continue to rocket up higher, because now you're increasing the risk and the odds of it, dropping down lower right in the future. So I think basically just try to save as much cash as you can. if you're trying to buy Bitcoin, I would say wait. Unless you really have, if you have none, well, that's even better, right? You might even get a better deal. But if you have some, you better off waiting, right? Why add more? Because you're increasing the chance that we have topped, and then you lose out on that capital they could have used later. But if you already have some, well, then just hold that on. I still think, me personally, I'd rather be in the market right now than out of it, especially for Bitcoin. I still think there's still another move up higher left, another leg up higher. So anyway, let's take a look at MSTR's chart on the weekly. And yep, past 4 weeks has been red. Earnings report tomorrow. Let's see what happens. But overall, it's still pretty much bearish. And if this thing has topped, let's say at about 544, and it crashes, let's say 70%. 70% takes you down to about 72% takes you down about 148, which is pretty much normal for a crash. Let's just say 80%, you get down to 106. So that's all I have for MSTR, Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin ratio chart against MSTR. This is Vee Trades, and thank you for your time.